Hi there, and welcome to Studio SN, your place for card making, rubber stamping, and paper crafting tutorials. My name is Sara Naumann, and I'm so very glad you're here. Today I'd like to show you a fun embossing powder resist technique. So you can see here on the front of my card that beautiful blue color on here. This is the embossing powder that's been brayered on, and that's acting as a resist to the yellow color spray that I've added on top. It's a really fun and easy technique and a great way to get a colorful background. So let's talk about how to do this. First, I'm going to start with a piece of smooth white matte cardstock, and this is one that's actually from Wow Embossing, so the folks that bring us the embossing powder. Of course, I also need to have my embossing ink pad, and I will also need some embossing powder to start. And I'm working with the Sea Mist color. Now, this is one of 3 embossing powder colors in the new trios, and this trio is called See You at the Beach. So I've got the Sea Mist and then 2 other beach appropriate colors. So this is what I need to get started. Now, in order to apply my ink onto my cardstock, I'm going to use a brayer. Now, this is one from Paper Artsy. As you can see, I've used it quite a lot. It's a little bit stained, but that's okay. It won't hurt the overall results. So what I'm going to do is just take off the lid of my embossing ink pad and run the brayer onto the ink pad. I want to make sure to get the ink all around that roller. And then I'm going to simply brayer it onto my cardstock. Now, I'm not too worried about getting total coverage because I want to have some areas of white showing. So then what I'll do is simply bring in a piece of folded white scrap paper. That's going to be my embossing powder catcher. And then I'm just going to add the embossing powder right on top and tap off the excess and run it back and forth a little bit to make sure I've got all of the areas covered on here that I want. And as you can see, I've got a really beautiful abstract looking design. So I'm not trying to go all the way to the edges. I'm not trying to cover the entire piece. I really want this to still have some white areas because that's what is going to become yellow when I add my color spray. So I'm going to heat set this and then we'll be able to add our color. Now that I'm done with my heating, I can tell that my embossing powder has all melted and I'm ready to move on to the next step. So one thing I like to do just to double check is kind of run my hand over the embossed area just to make sure that I haven't got any stray granules that didn't quite melt entirely. And you can also sort of tilt this and make sure that there's a shine on all of that blue area, and that's going to mean that it's all melted and you're ready to move on. So you'll notice here that I've got this gorgeous background that's a really nice abstract design. I've got lots of open white area here, which will become yellow when I add my color spray. Now, essentially what I've done here is turned this area into a non-porous surface. So whereby the cardstock is porous, meaning that a wet medium will sink into it, the embossed area has created sort of a shield over that, and it is non-porous, which means that when I go in to add my color spray or any other watery medium, that will be resisted by that beautiful blue area on here. So I'm going to add in my color spray, and I'm using the Izink spray from Aladine, and this is in the color Aurore. It's a beautiful yellow. It's going to work perfectly with our blue. So what I'm going to do, you know, with most color sprays, you don't want to get too close when you're spraying. So I hold this a couple of inches away, and then I'm just going to add one quick spritz. Now, the nice thing about the Aladine sprays is that they have a no clog nozzle, which means that I don't have to worry about any of that kind of getting jammed up in the tube in there. And I'm able to add just a quick spritz of beautiful color. Now, I can stop here, or I can add a couple more spritzes on here. And you'll notice I've got that gorgeous bright yellow color on here, but in this blue area, when I take a towel or a cloth and just wipe that off, you can see it's been resisted. So I'm able to get that really fun bright yellow color as well as the contrasting blue. So I'm going to let this sit as it is. I could add more color if I wanted to have an even brighter contrast, but I think I'm good with this. So I'll just clean up my craft sheet a little bit here, and then we can take a look at the rest of the card. So I just need to let this dry. It will only take a couple of minutes, and then I can go back to assemble the rest of my card. So for the rest of the card, you can see here, I've inked around the outside edges of this embossed piece and added some more of that blue embossing powder going around the outside edges. I've added the thank you stamped onto a die cut oval. The oval and the frame are from Altenew. It's from their framed dies. The stamp is also from Wow, and this is from their beautiful stamp set. And this is the stamp set you can see here. It's got some really nice flowers, and then it's got the sentiments down at the bottom. And I've just popped that up onto some foam tape, added a little bit of baker's twine, and I'm ready to go. I've got a quick and easy background suitable for just about any occasion. So this is how you can use your embossing powders as a resist for any wet medium, although we do think the color sprays are especially fun. Thank you so much for joining me today on Studio SN. If you enjoyed today's show, please subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I'll keep you updated on the very latest stamping and card making videos. In the meantime, please feel free to stop by my website, saranaumann.com, for more paper crafting ideas. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you again next week.